Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the GallowgateShots YouTube and podcast channel. We are back with another match preview, just the two of us today. I'm Scott, I'm your host, and I'm joined by Daryl. Daryl, mate, have you recovered from your jaunt down to Fulham at the weekend?
I have, mate. There was plenty of gin on the go. Thanks to Shell for putting up with us for a night and having us around for the game as well. I think what did I put on my Twitter this morning? I think it was Fulham gins and FA Cup wins. So that was a nice little tagline that went out this morning. But no, we did the job that we needed to do. We weren't at our best. I think we were off it for quite a bit of that game, but it was a professional job and we got the result that was needed and we were in the hat. So another away win as well. I know our away form's been a bit questionable recently, so it's nice to get another away win under the belt, especially against another Premier League side as well. And we look forward to building on that momentum against Villa.
Yes, and it is back to Premier League action, as we would imagine, and it's Aston Villa away. And we're going to jump right into this preview. But before I do that, there's a little message from our sponsor. The GallowgateShots match preview is brought to you by Magpin. Magpin are the go-to site for high-quality, unofficial enamel pin badges of Newcastle United players, legends and retro kits. For more information, visit their website at magpinbadges.bigcartel.com. Yeah, so as I mentioned, this is the preview for that Aston Villa away game. It's on Tuesday, which if you're watching this, it's probably going to be tonight, because by the time I get this edited and out, it'll be tonight. January 29th, 8:15 kickoff at Villa Park, but it is also live on TNT Sports for those of you who can't get to the game. Villa, Daryl, not doing too badly. They're fourth in the league on 43 points, so they're definitely not getting relegated this season. 13 wins, 4 draws, and 4 defeats. They're on a plus 16 goal difference. Their last 5 games have been 2 wins, 2 draws, and 1 loss. So are we going to make that 2 draws, 2 wins, and 2 defeats this time, over?
Well, you would hope so. Personally, and we'll get to the end when we do our predictions, I'm not too sure. But, I think when you look at Villa this season, it's very much alike to what we had last season. It's a very similar sort of path that they're on. We humbled them 5-1 in that first game in the reverse fixture, and they didn't look like this sort of run was coming from them. And obviously, in the time since then, Unai Emery's worked some good work down there, and they've really stormed themselves into some good form. And they've been pushing the very, very top of the league. I think they might have even sat there for a little bit just before Christmas, and they are doing some really good stuff. They're playing some really good football, getting out some really decent results, and they're in the conversation now. We have to say it. They're in the conversation for Champions League place. Like I say, it very much mirrors what we did last season, and it's going to be a tough game, but we'll see, because we can do it on our day.
Yeah, it's going to be a different game, I think, from the 5-1 win.
5-1.
At the start of the season. There were 6 goals, 5-1. Yeah, I'm not expecting it to be as easy. And also, we all know how our away form is as well. It's not been the best.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a few little insights before we move into the actual players and that sort of stuff. In the last 6 Premier League home games against Newcastle, Villa are unbeaten. They've kept a clean sheet every single time. 4 wins, 2 draws. If we win this will be our first Premier League double over Villa since the 2013-2014 season.
Mm-hmm.
However, Villa have won 16 of their last 17 home games. I think that record goes all the way up to February last year. So it's almost they're making Villa Park like what we made St. James's Park, or have made St. James's Park. It's a fortress, really. We've lost our last 4 Premier League games, conceding 3 goals at least in those 3 of the 4 games. We haven't conceded 3+ in 4 straight games since December 1965. So let's hope if it is a defeat, it's only 2-0 or 1-0. Now, Villa have conceded more goals in the 10 minutes after half time than they have in the entirety of the first half of the season.
Oh, wow.
They don't concede many, and they're the lowest team for first half goals conceded this season with 9. Obviously, we all know what Villa can do, Daryl.
Mm-hmm.
But is there any player in particular that you're thinking we need we need to watch out for, because I don't think we got a true representation of Villa when they played us at St James's
Yeah.
at the start of the season. There were, new players were settling in, still getting used to the Emery ways, even though he had been there a little bit. It was, I don't think anyone was expecting the result that we got either, because we all expected it to be a really tough game.
Yeah, I mean, we know that they have dangerous players across the park. For me, you still can't look past the danger man that is Ollie Watkins. In the fixture last season, he's got 2 of the 3 goals. He's in really good form this season, and he's really playing with a mindset that he wants to be involved in that England squad in the Euros in the summer. And he's been, for anybody in the FPL world, he's been scoring a bucket load of points this season. I think he might even be in my team now. I'm not sure. I'll have to check. But, he is danger man. He is potent in front of goals. He's got a lot of goals this season. And, we had Callum Wilson doing that for us last season, and Alexander Isak, I suppose, as well, And we'll get on to it. We are not going to be as strong in that position as Aston Villa certainly are. We've said they've got some pace up and down the wings as well. And I think, if I remember rightly from that game last season as well, I think it was Douglas Luiz ran the midfield. And I think we can both agree that performance at Villa Park last season, considering how good we actually were last season, was a real low point in terms of the performances that we put out last season. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes, but they are dangerous, and we have to be on our best to keep up with them.
Yeah, it almost. I remember the game last season at their place, and it was late on in the season, and it almost kind of was just Emery's got Howe's number here. He just nullified any attack that we had, any threat that we had, and we all thought going into that first game of this season, it's going to be horses for courses and more of the same. And Howe got one up on Emery, so who knows? Maybe this is going to be a boring draw, stalemate game.
I'll take it, mate. I would take it.
Yeah, I would take it as well, actually. Looking at Villa's injuries, there's quite a long list. I think a few have been out for a little while, but there's a few new ones on there. Obviously, we are doing this after the press conferences, which is nice. It's a novelty that we have. But just rattling through their list there, Daryl, you've got Buendia, Tyrone Mings, Palacio, Luca Digne, Pau Torres, Jacob Ramsey, who was linked with us this morning, has gone in. So if he isn't in the squad, don't read anything into that from a transfer point of view. He's injured. He's 25%. He's got a hamstring problem, which maybe we shouldn't be going in for him, because we're not that good with muscle injuries. And the other one is Bertrand Traore, who was at the AFCON. So he is obviously ruled out as well. So, they've got a fair few players out, a few defenders, actually, looking at that. And I think their back line is maybe been a bit disrupted this season, which maybe is why, they're, I don't want to say they're hot and cold, but, they're maybe losing a few games that maybe they shouldn't, and they're, drawing a few games that they maybe shouldn't as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And, with them losing Pau Torres, they've also had the resurgence of Diego Carlos, who came back from injury this season. And he pretty much, like when we lose a defender, we have somebody who's there who just steps straight in. When they lost Tyrone Mings, he came straight into that defence just at the right time as he was coming back from his knee injury. And obviously we can't forget the World Cup winner they've got between the posts. And, he's such a good goalkeeper. And he's a bit of a house, let's say. I'll not swear on this one, but he's a certain type of house. And he's a character, and he will cause some problems. It's interesting that you say that Luca Digne is not available, because I'm not sure who plays there in place of him. But he was always quite a threat because he's got a good set piece on him as well. And I know he can be a little bit hit and miss himself, but he does have that quality when he's on game. So it is going to be interesting. I think it's Matty Cash plays on that side, I think, instead of him.
Yeah, I don't think Cash is getting a game either. I think he's I don't know. For some reason in my head, I've got Ashley Young, but I don't think it's Ashley Young either. I think he went.
It might be, Did he go?
Young. I don't know. Let us know in the comments below who it is.
Yes, please.
If not, we'll find out tomorrow when the lineup's announced.
But yeah, it's like you say, they are a little bit late at the back. But I think their attacking side's keeping them in these games.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if we turn our attention to Newcastle, obviously, like I've mentioned before, we have been able to do this after Eddie Howe's press conference. So we know, we think we know. We had surprises. Had surprises in the last game, with Miggy going ill and Lascelles being out. And now on that, I think the only person that's going to be back is Miggy. Howe says he should be back. I don't know what that illness was. It was enough to make his missus wear a mask on Instagram. But yeah, Miggy should be back. Lascelles is still out. He's not there. And then Barnes and Wilson are close. I think it's just maybe I think this was the game we were all hoping to be back, but I think realistically it's probably going to be at the weekend over the the start of February when we get Barnes and Wilson. And then others, your Willocks and the like are further away. I don't know what Willock has done to that Achilles or what Elliot Anderson has done to his back, but they're slow burns, those ones, but hopefully they'll be back fighting fit soon. The only person we don't know about, Daryl, is Trippier. Obviously went off against Fulham. He took a little knock. It didn't look too bad, but I think it's one of those, Eddie Howe will find out on the day, and we all know what that means.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think I had seen something earlier this afternoon that said he'll be fine, but again, what does that mean in our modern world of Newcastle United and what we hear from Eddie Howe? He likes to keep his cards so close to his chest, and he's a fan. I mean this in all the best sentiments, but he's a fantastic liar, and he knows how. He's got a pretty decent poker face on him as well, because he will say things, and then all of a sudden you'll get the exact opposite. I mean, we knew Murphy was close, but I didn't expect him to start on Saturday against Fulham, and that was quite nice to see.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what he comes out of the bag this time.
Yeah, it will be. I mean, if we take a look at the lineup, obviously, I think the big question is around Trippier, because if Trippier's obviously fit, then he starts. And then it's a question of with Tino, if Murphy's maybe he's played his game at the weekend, maybe he can't start this game and he's got to be rested, but he'll come on the bench. Do you put Tino out on that right hand side wing if Miggy's not back, or do you just risk?
That's it.
It's a weird one, because I was surprised that he used Tino where he did at the weekend, but it also, to me, being the cynic I am, maybe he's planning for perhaps not having somebody like Miggy in that position, because he is linked with a move away. So, maybe he was just trying stuff out when we're 2-0 up, and he's got a bit of leeway to,
it seemed to work quite well as well. I think, he got forward really well down that side. And when he first came on, and he sort of came on and he positioned himself quite deep on that left wing, and it was almost as if we'd gone to like a back five at that point.
Yeah.
And Dan Burn tucked in a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see how he plays that out. And it might come to the point where we'll need a phase in the game tonight. That is something that we'll have to do and like apply that to the game situation. And I think the one thing that I would like to see more of from Tino is that end product, because we think about Tino as the long-term successor to Trippier. And Trippier's delivery and his service is just second to none from that position, and we need to see more of that from Tino.
Yeah, agreed. I think we will see that eventually. I think he's still finding where he's going to play in this team, because he's been all over the shop. Let's not beat around the bush. He's been right back. He's been left back. He's been on the wing. He won't know what his best position is at the moment, especially coming off that massive injury that he had. Was it last season? Half of last season and the season before. So, I think he's still learning what Eddie Howe wants from him as well. I think the more game time you can give him, the better, to be honest. It looks like Trippier's going nowhere, so that right back position it's his. I mean, you're not going to drop Trippier for anyone really, unless there's an injury or a fitness worry. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Howe wants to do with Tino and where he wants to play him, because did Emil Kraft come on at the weekend? I'm pretty sure I've seen him come on, if I remember rightly. So it's going to be it's going to be a strange dynamic depending on how the game goes, and I think that depends a lot on how the game goes. If we're 2-0, 3-0 down, which is every possibility we can be after what we saw last season, I don't think Eddie Howe makes any changes at all, apart from if it's like Jacob Murphy's played 70, 80 minutes and he needs to come off for fitness reasons. I don't think he'll start experimenting like he did maybe against Fulham.
No. And I think if Wilson isn't back, then if Isak puts in a full 90 tonight, then you certainly wouldn't expect to see him start against Luton on Saturday either. So I think I was kind of banking on Wilson being back for this game, and then you can rotate and have Wilson play the full 90 or best part of it, and then swap it over again and for the weekend. But it's not the end of the world if it's the other way around, so to speak. And I think we can both agree here as well, Scott, that the midfield is effectively back into a situation where it picks itself. We've lost
Most of the
Joe
team
Livingstone
does at the minute.
Well, yeah, exactly, yeah. But I think for large parts of the season, it's been the midfield's pretty much been, 3 of 3, for one reason or another. And like you've just mentioned before about Joe Willock, the sooner we get him back to go in there, the better. Even Harvey Barnes could probably fit in there as a temporary measure in a phase of play in a game. So it's really important that we get the lads back and we get a little bit more depth. There's nothing to say against the fitness of the lads who are playing in there. Bruno, Sean, and Lewis, who's celebrating his brand new contract as of yesterday, is going to be, he should be buzzing about that. And they have been doing a good job. I thought Bruno was a tiny bit sloppy against Fulham at the weekend, but
agreed.
again, I think that might have been the consequence of having a fortnight off, to be honest. But as much as they should have been working on that in training, it's just one of them things. And he'll, the whole lot of them will get back and firing on all cylinders once they get back into the swing of it.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned there about Barnes coming back in, hopefully against Luton, or even whenever he comes in, and that freeing up, him doing a job in the middle. I think what Barnes gives you is the option to move Gordon in that number 10 role and have him play there if needs be, because you've got that left and right winger on the field, or even Miggy. I mean, Miggy can play there as well. It was always his preferred position. Never got the chance to do it for us, really, apart from when he was playing with Iose and Rondon all those years ago, for that short half a season that we all wish we had back, but not really. But we really wish we didn't, or we do. I don't know. I don't think Wilson is even making the bench, if I'm being honest with you. I think Eddie Howe would have been a bit more, not candid, but he would have been a bit more positive about Wilson. He only really mentioned that he's close and that he's committed himself to the club, so he's not going anywhere. We'll see where he ends up on the 1st of February, because that's normally the kiss of death when that happens. We'll move on to our predictions, Daryl, because I'll go with mine first, because I'll not put you on the spot. I've got a really bad feeling about this game, and I've got a really bad feeling we're going to get an absolute hammering. My heart says we're going to sneak a 1-0 win.
Right.
My head says it could be 4 or 5-0. And I hate to say that, but Villa are doing very well. They're blowing teams away at the minute, and we're not, especially not away. We're not awful. And I don't think Eddie Howe would want a repeat of what happened last season. But I tell you what, I'm going to put a line through all of that, and I'm going to say 2-1 Villa. I think we're going to get beat, but it's not going to be the tanking that I'm worried about. But secretly, I think it's going to be a tanking.
I think Emery might be in the mood for revenge, and that does worry us. But I'm not going to predict a loss. I'm going to try and be, sat on the fence a little bit here. I'm going to go for the result that I would quite happily take, and I'm going to take a 1-1 draw. I think it'll be backs to the wall. It'll be full on rear guard. Anything you want to say to describe it, but we're going to have to dig in, and we're going to have to put our bodies on the line and everything to try and scrape out with a point. But I'll tell you what, if you gave me that now, I'd snap your hand up and I'll take it. 1-1.
Yeah, I would take that as well. I think for me, I would prefer to have had Luton now and Villa the weekend and had a little bit more of a rest and a get back together. But I think because it's been so close back to back, I was saying that, look at what Luton did to us down there, and so who knows? Who knows this season? It's anybody's guess. What do you think the score's going to be? What do you think the game's going to be like? Let us know in the comments below. And while you're down there, if you want to hit the little thumbs up button to let us know if you've liked this video, you can also subscribe to become to get us in your feed more on YouTube. And if you want to know when we go live for videos, you can also hit the notification bell. If you want to go one step further, we do have a membership program. It's $2.99 a month. That gets you early access to videos like this, as well as access to the Telegram group. Loads and loads of content coming up on the channel. We do have an episode of Canny Chatter, which was recorded last week. So that's on your audio only. So get on your podcast for that. Always Smiling Faces is kicking off in about 20 minutes at time of recording. So that was last night. Go back and watch that if you haven't watched that live. And we'll have a match preview up for the Luton game, and I'm still editing it, but it will be out hopefully this week. There's a FIFA Clubs video coming as well.
God help you
yeah.
all watching that book, I tell you.
There's some pretty flat banter. Let's sell it. No, it's fine.
Oh.
I'm just having to cut it a little bit more than normal. And there's some sound issues, which there always is. So I'm trying to figure that out as well. But if you like all of that stuff, like I've said before, just hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button. That's all we ask for. And if you're listening on audio, just give it a 5-star. It gets up those rankings and gets in the podcast recommendations of other fellow Newcastle fans. Daryl, mate, thanks for this quick one. I say quick one. It's been 21 minutes, so it's almost like a full-fledged one. We will see you in the next one. Hopefully, it's not too bad. I hate being negative, but I just cannot. I've been thinking about this all day, and I just cannot envision anything else. Unfortunately, we'll be back for the Luton game, and I promise I'll be more positive then. Hopefully, with my tail between my legs when we spank them 3-0 tomorrow night. But we'll see what happens. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Ta-da.
Bye-bye.